Sirius is the 100th brawler in Brawl Stars. He's also the second ultra legendary brawler in the game, as well as the very first villain. It's rumored that Sirius owned the very first attraction at Star Park, where he would perform his very mysterious magic act that involved using people's shadows. Apparently, Sirius took things a little too far when other shows...
He took things a bit too serious. You see what I did there? Sorry. Anyways,
started to pop up, and a murder was
why so serious?
Sirius was eventually kicked out of Star Park, and he's back for revenge.
Let the weak be crushed.
Okay, hold on. Okay, let's. Got 7 key HP. Okay, he's a controller. Okay. Alright. I want to see what his gadgets are.
Who ordered the boss battle?
Stick around to the end of today's video for more of his voice lines and pins. And I'm also going to tell you how you can unlock Sirius for free, because there are 3 ways to do so. But for people who are watching this video way after Sirius is released, I'm going to save that for the end of the video. First, let's cover all of his shadowy mechanics. Sirius's main attack is Binary Star. He attacks with 2 separate projectiles that are very different from each other. One projectile is a bomb that is thrown, and the other projectile is a shadow strike that travels across the ground and will only deal damage to one enemy. The bomb can be aimed just like any normal thrower attack, and the shadow strike will travel its full length whichever the direction the bomb is thrown. Sirius can often land both shots on the same target, especially at close range, and since they each deal the same amount of damage, it's basically like double the damage if he does. Sirius also partially steals his enemy's shadows from them with his attack, and completely steals their shadow on the 4th hit. Once he has stolen a shadow, he's then able to use his super, and his super is Shadow Summon. Sirius basically always has his super charged and available and ready to use because it functions very differently than other supers do. Before he can use it in the first place, though, he has to have collected at least 1 shadow, or at least 1 shadow needs to be on the ground. He can hold up to 3 shadows at a time, and once he uses his super, it will summon all 3 shadows that he's holding at the same time. Each shadow will be a copy of whichever brawler he hit with his main attack in order to steal that shadow. And the copies essentially act like bots of those brawlers, right? Their attacks are the same.
Bro, what the hell? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yo, what the hell? What do you mean you can make it a 6v3? Yo, what the hell, dude? Theoretically, sorry, 9v3. Yo, what the fuck? That's insane. That's insane.
The brawlers that they are copies of, but their health is only 70% of the brawler's normal health, and they only deal 55% of their normal damage.
Yo, no. Yo, this is gonna be awful. Okay, imagine being Mortis. Like, you're playing Mortis. What the hell do you do against this? What do you do? What do you do against this? You're playing fucking Carl, Bonnie, Mortis, fucking Carl, like Penny. Actually, nothing. You die. Penny is probably the only counter to this. Literally, Penny. Like, Penny is probably the only person who can really deal with his ass. Or like Amber. Like, any brawlers that can like pierce through multiple targets are going to be like the only real like counters. Excuse me to play Jackie. Yeah, Jackie. But the fact, like, holy smolies, brother, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of ridiculous, dog.
Now, whether you aim Sirius's shadow or you auto-aim it, when he has a shadow active or available, he will just summon them right next to him. You can't...
Yo, what do you do? 6 fucking Franks all attacking you at the same time. Like, yeah, you just die. There's nothing you can do.
Throw them out like Nita can throw her bear, right? They just pop up right next to him. But after they're on the ground, Sirius can control his shadow puppets using his super button. If you auto-aim his super, the shadows are going to stay near him and...
Oh my god! Did you see that? Dude, look at the damage. You think the shadows disappear upon Sirius's defeat? I think so. I hope so. They should. If his fucking shadows are still, like, they should despawn whenever he dies. Surely they despawn whenever he dies. Because if they don't, yeah, you're cooked. You're there. Yeah, it's GG's. That's insane. But do you see this damage?
Super button.
Look at the
If you
Frank. Look at the
auto-aim your
Frank.
super, the
As
shadows
you
are going
see,
to stay near
boom,
him, and they'll
just
follow
get
him
shredded.
around until they find an enemy target, in which case they will chase them
They
down
just
and
get
deal
shredded.
damage to them. But you don't have to auto-aim it. You can manually aim his super to place down an arrow where those shadows will actually go and congregate. They'll stay around there until somebody gets close, and then they'll attack them and then go back to that main location. What's cool is that his super almost immediately recharges, so he can change the direction that they are pretty quickly. I should also mention that even though Sirius can hold up to 3 shadows at a time before releasing them, he can actually have 6 shadows on the battlefield at once. That's very scary.
Wait. Okay, this has to be like some sort of star power that allows him to do this, right? No way he's just able to do this base. Please tell me that there's a star power that's allowing him to be able to have 6 fucking clones. Surely it's a star power that allows him to
Unless
do
you're
this.
playing Penny,
Right.
in which case that seems like a bummer. An important thing to note is that Sirius's shadows will not charge Sirius's shadows. Like, they will not be able to resummon more shadows like a normal summoner would be able to recharge their super, right? It doesn't work that way. Sirius has to attack enemies in order for him to steal their shadows. And his shadows don't charge his super in any way. They just deal damage and are a hindrance to the enemy team. Something to keep in mind when Sirius summons shadows of enemy brawlers, those shadows are immediately given 3 ammo, so they can fire off those ammo really quickly. Deal a decent amount of damage. And I tested it. They actually have the same reload speed as the brawler. They're pretty much like an exact copy of whichever brawler they are a copy of, except that they deal less damage and they have less health. His super is incredibly fun to play around with, and yes, if you want to just collect a bunch of like shadows and stuff like that, you can drop an arrow way in the back so that nobody goes and finds them and kills them, and then bring your horde of shadows to take everybody out. Sirius's first gadget is A Star is Born. This gadget fires a projectile that will create a shadow of whichever brawler it hits. The projectile itself doesn't actually deal any damage, but on top of creating a shadow, it also slows the target for 3 seconds. Now, the shadow created by this gadget isn't any different from any other shadow, which means that even if you already have shadows on the map, it won't disappear if you spawn another with this gadget.
Wait. So theoretically speaking, you can have 7 of them because you can have 7. I mean, you can have 6 of the regular clones, and you can use this gadget to spawn in another clone. What the hell, dog? You can have 7 clones? Excuse me?
Unless you're maxed out at 6 shadows. Also,
never mind.
Area, you'll notice that when Sirius creates shadows, he creates shadows of himself. This gadget does not work against enemy bots or things like that, like in Brawl Arena or anything like that. You have to hit an enemy brawler in order for him to create a shadow of that brawler. Sirius' gadget is Master of Shadows. When this gadget is activated, all shadows on the map will instantly teleport right next to where Sirius is, no matter where they are on the map. In addition to bringing them back to himself,
hell no!
Each shadow 50% of their.
Okay, so this is the gadget that you're gonna run 90% of the time. Excuse me? Like, what?
Total health as soon as they teleport.
Brother,
this gadget does reassign the shadows to follow Sirius if you already had them assigned to a different area before using this gadget. So if you want to move them back, you'll then have to use his super again to get where you want them to be. Sirius's
So crazy sorry, Kairos, crazy freeze frame. But so you spawn in all your little freaking shadow clones, right? And right before they're about to die, you just immediately use your gadget. They spawn all the way back towards you, get full health, and then go back out again. Like, brother, what? Brother, what? What do you mean you can just jump somebody? Literally, you can just boom, spawn in all your shadow clones, and then you're cooked.
Dusk Runners.
Bro.
That wasn't as good as the last one, but it was pretty good. This star power simply increases the movement speed of each shadow by 15%, and that includes the shadows.
These are the jumping characters. Yeah.
Since the shadows have decreased health than normal, sometimes they don't even have time to approach an enemy before they are destroyed. So this star power is actually really helpful to get the shadows to enemies, especially if it's like a melee brawler shadow, like a Rosa or something like that. That way they're.
Oh my god, dude, that's terrifying. Imagine 6 Mortises spawning in with like 20% more fucking movement speed. Brother. Wait, okay, hold on, okay. We have to do some testing. Can you stack Max's super, like her. Can you like pop Max's super like a global team speed boost with this star power gadget speed boost spawner clone thingamabob? Like, can you give the clones like a speed boost with Max? Like, if you like pair it up, we only we get, because that, if so, that's gonna be kind of nasty. That's gonna be terrifying.
Able to apply a lot
Just
more
a horde.
Sirius's second
Holy
star
shit.
power is just a sec here. The darkest star. Oh gosh. While this star power is equipped, each shadow strike from Sirius's main attack will charge Sirius's shadow meter twice as much. This only applies to the shadow strike projectile, which means the bomb from his main attack does not double. But that does still mean that you can potentially collect 3 shadow hits with only 1 ammo from his star power. You need 4 shadow hits in order to charge a shadow, but that's going to give Sirius a lot more shadows throughout the match.
What are we doing? What do you mean? What do you mean he can twice as much, bro? Why? Why are they making it? Why are they making it even easier for him to get the goddamn super where he can just spawn and why? Why? They could have just been like, let's give him a damage reduction or something like that. Nope. You just get it faster. Like,
This hypercharge is unlimited power. That wasn't
unlimited power.
This hypercharge makes it so that shadows summoned during the hypercharge
Choose a really big number.
Health. So it increases the damage from 55% shadow damage to 70% of the damage that the brawlers would normally be able to do, and it increases the health from 70% of the brawler's health to 80%.
Yo, look at this shit. Yo, look at how big that fucking Frank is. Excuse me. Oh, hell no.
To make sure that you activate it when you have 3 shadows available to summon, because it only works for shadows summoned during the hypercharge. You can see right here, I'm going to summon it, and then I'm going to use the hypercharge, and it doesn't increase that shadow's health because I summoned it before.
Brother. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
Really cool, right? Anyway,
brother.
Now it's time to compare the 100th brawler to the other 99.
Wait. Okay. So you can stack that. So you mean to tell me with the hypercharge, he can have up to 3 of these? No, he can have up to 6. He can have up to 6. He pretty much can spawn in 6 hypercharged Franks all at the same time. Excuse me? Like, brother, what? Now, mind you,
and it doesn't increase that shadow because I summoned it before I had a hypercharge. Oh, also, you can't really tell, but there's his loading screen.
Yo, really that's cool, insane.
Right? Anyway, now it is time to compare.
Brother, bro, he's gonna be like, how can you can't, like, how can you 1v1 him? You can't he wins every 1v1, bro. You just he's just an automatic 2v1. He turns every 1v1 into a 2v1. You're cooked. You pretty much have to fight him twice.
The brawler to the other 99 brawlers in the game using the Brawl Stars Olympic tests.
Jesus Christ, brother.
Work our way up to his best. Then we are going to go over how I think he's going to be in all of the different game modes. Well, not all of them. Brawl Stars has like 1 million different game modes now, but the main ones. And then I'll talk about the 3 ways you can unlock Sirius for free. First up, we have the super damage test. Now, while Sirius's shadows can obviously deal plenty of damage, activating the actual super doesn't deal any damage. So he ties with 22 other brawlers in the game for 78th place at 0 damage for a super. Kind of unfair for a super that can actually do a lot of damage really quickly, but he's really good. So we gotta hold something against him. Next, we have the swarm test. Sirius spawns 3 shadows and then a 4th one by using his gadget that follows him as he moves through the swarm. He continues to spawn shadows 1 by 1 as he charges them until the last bot is destroyed. It takes him 9.5 seconds to completely get rid of the swarm. That's enough for 74th place. Next is the area test. Since projectiles from Sirius's attack move in the same direction, it doesn't actually cover that much area. The bomb is a little bit wider than the shadow strike, and even though his first gadget doesn't deal damage, it actually still breaks skulls, which is cool. His super doesn't break any skulls, and Sirius breaks a total of 36 skulls. That ties him with Charlie for 74th place. Next is the survival test. Now, Sirius could have his shadows do a lot of like body blocking for him, especially with his second gadget equipped, but that's not actually allowed in this test, so he can only really rely on his total health, which is 7,400, and that's enough to help him survive for 19.4.
Okay. Oh shit.
4 seconds. That gets him 67th place.
6-7
people.
6'7", 6'7", woo, 6'7". Also, speaking of, yeah, it's kind of nasty. He does have a lot of health, so it's pretty
It's
easy.
everywhere. I actually
Be
read
hard
that
to
the
kill.
best way to get people to stop doing stupid stuff like that, 6'7", is to purposefully do it as an the uncool unk, and then purposefully do it wrong.
6'7".
So 6'7". Sorry, I promise I'm doing this to try and end something. Okay, I have the best of intentions. Anyway, next is the
It's
free
never
attack
gonna
kill
end.
test. Each projectile from Sirius's main attack deals 1,200 damage, which means that if both of them hit from the same ammo, it deals 2,400 damage. 3 of those attacks adds up to 7,200 damage, which is enough to take out 59 brawlers in the game. That ties him with Doug, Willow, and Ruffs for 65th place. Next is the splash test. Unfortunately, Sirius's super doesn't help him at all in this test because his shadows will not attack boxes.
Loki, the splash
He's
damage
not
ain't
the
too
worst when it
bad.
comes to splash damage since his bombs deal AoE damage, but it's still pretty weak by itself, so it takes him a while to open up the first few boxes. He completes the test in 21.2 seconds. That gets him 65th place and suggests he's actually not going to be that great in solo showdown, which we'll talk about later on.
Nah, that's some bullshit. Hell no.
Next is the reload test. Sirius actually has a pretty fast reload speed or unload speed, but his reload speed is below average. He has no abilities to speed up his reload speed, so it takes him 20.1 seconds to reload 10 shots. That's enough for 59th place. It's really close to middle, but it's below average. Next is the race test. Sirius does have a fast movement speed, but other than that, he doesn't have anything else to help him in this test, which means that he has a little bit above average mobility because he does move as fast as like Bull does or Daryl, brawlers with a fast movement speed. He completes the race test in 11.5 seconds and ties with 9 other brawlers in the game for 57th place. There's just like a lot of brawlers that just have good mobility abilities, obviously. Next is the box test. As we already saw in the splash test, Sirius's shadows don't help attack the boxes, so not even his gadget is enough to help him in this test. That being said, his bomb could hit each box in the group, so he's still considerably faster than brawlers who can't pierce with their attacks. He completes the box test in 47.3 seconds. That is enough for 56th place. Up until this point, Sirius is worse than half of the brawlers, or he's below average, and after this point, he's better than half of the brawlers. Starting off with the attack range test. Sirius's Shadow Strike only has a range of 7 tiles, but his bomb can be thrown that same distance, and it has a radius of 1 1/3 tiles. So that's a total of 8 1/3 tiles, so he ties with 9 other brawlers, including Charlie, Finks, and Gale for 49th place. Next, we have the auto-aim test. How easily can he auto-aim and still hit enemies? Sirius's Shadow Strike can only be auto-aimed from a couple of tiles away because of how narrow it is. The bomb, however, is much wider, so even though it's only half of the damage of the attack, it can be auto-aimed from 5 tiles away. That's really good. 1,200 damage at 5 tiles away is enough to put Sirius in 38th place. Next is the super range test. Once again, the super doesn't actually deal any damage, but the
that is a hella
Sirius
range,
can
though.
assign to his
That's some
shadows
crazy
is very
range.
large and can be aimed very far away from where he is. The super could technically even have even more range than this, since his shadows can shoot further than the area that they're in, but the reticle stretches 14 1/3 tiles out, so he ties with Rico for 15th place. Anywhere a Rico super can reach, he can command shadows to go that far.
Yeah,
Next
that's
is
insane.
The boss test.
That's gonna be so annoying,
though. Creating a shadow with his gadget, and with his second star power equipped, it does not take him very long to summon the max amount of shadows. With 7 different Siriuses all attacking the boss, it really does not take long to deplete the rest of his health. Sirius defeats the boss in 19.1 seconds and gets 11th place.
Yo, that damage is crazy, dog.
The 1 second DPS test. I had to time this just right? This requires perfect timing, but I let Sirius use all 6 of his shadows to deal damage to the boss all within the same second. Sirius and his 6 clones are able to deal 16,440 damage in just 1 second, so he gets 11th place. Next is the assassin test. How much damage can be done in 3 seconds? Unlike the 1 second DPS test, I thought that this would be a little bit more practical because that's kind of my goal with this. So I only allowed him to start with 3 shadows in this test to get the best idea of how much damage can be dealt in up close real situations, right? He's still able to deal 25,440 damage in just those 3 seconds. That's enough to put him in 10th place. I have a difficult time thinking of a situation where that could actually happen because most players are not going to get caught off guard by shadows in this way, but you never know. It's still cool to measure. Next is the supercharge test. This is another really weird test for Sirius because his super is basically always charged, but he can't use it without at least one shadow. So I decided to measure that instead. I used his second star power, which only takes him 0.6 seconds to collect a shadow, and then he's able to use his super. So he ties with Griff and Clancy for 8th place. Okay, now that we've got a decent idea of how Sirius's stats are and like how he compares to all the other brawlers, I'm gonna go through each of the main modes and kind of rank him for how good I think he's going to be. Then I'll explain the 3 ways that you can get Sirius for free and show you all of his voice lines and pins, and they're pretty great. First up, we got Gem Grab. Sirius would probably be an S tier brawler for Gem Grab if he had a little bit more mobility or at least something more reliable to keep assassins away from him. But I do think that his overall stats and the amount of area control that he provides will still make him a solid choice in almost any situation. So we're going to go with the A tier for Gem Grab. Next, we have Brawl Ball. We're going to go with S tier for Brawl Ball.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Just off his super alone, just being able to like instantly get your super or like have a very, very fast super, you can just keep spamming your super shot with the ball shot.
The reason for that is since Sirius
and also just the freaking clones.
Always recharged, he basically has infinite super shots, which is broken. On top of that, being a thrower that also has decent damage up close is a huge advantage on a lot of Brawl Ball maps, and the added body blocking of his shadows for even his teammates should make it really easy to score as well. I do think that he deserves S tier for Brawl Ball. Next, we have Heist. Very similar to Gem Grab, I think that Sirius's overall stats is going to make him a strong brawler in Heist, though I don't think that this is going to be one of his best modes because he doesn't quite have the DPS that he needs. If he could like somehow get on an enemy safe with a bunch of shadows, then that would just be insane, but I don't feel like that's going to happen very often because people aren't. You have to be in combat with enemies to take their shadows, and those people aren't going to let you just drop a bunch of shadows on the heist safe after you've taken their shadows. It's just not going to happen. So I'm going to go with the A tier in heist. We're going to go with the A tier in bounty as well. Bounty is another mode that I don't think
he's going to eat up
for Sirius simply because he just does not have enough range for him to be great. There's going to be plenty of maps though where he's going to be very effective because of the walls and stuff like that, and most top tier bounty brawlers I think are going to struggle a lot with his shadows because most of them don't pierce through targets. So I think the A tier is actually really good. He's probably just going to be broken on release, and he's probably going to be S tier in everything, but you know, once he gets balanced, I think A tier makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna be so giga busted, dude. He's gonna be so giga busted. But hey, I'm all here for it. We're going to be grinding with him regardless.
It sort of feels like Sirius was made for Hot Zone. His main attack covers just enough area to be very effective at keeping enemies out of the zone. And I think that his shadows are going to make it very difficult for the enemy team to maintain control of the zone, since they have to waste ammo on the shadows. Wasting ammo on enemy shadows like that is just going to be so frustrating. Though it will depend on Sirius's ability to recharge shadows quickly enough, right? The shadows are especially going to be good on maps with more than one zone, since Sirius can actually just direct them to whichever zone needs help.
Yeah, like, bro, like, what are you supposed to do? Imagine being Dynamite. Maybe not even Dynamite. Imagine being Brock. No, imagine being Squeaks. Yeah, imagine being Squeaks. You're like, well, GG's.
Literally just stand on one zone and send all of his shadows to go help his teammates.
Insane.
Like, it's such a strong combination. Oh, man, this is making me so excited to play him in Hot Zone. S tier for Hot Zone, if that wasn't clear already. We're going to go with S tier in Knockout as well. And typically, brawlers are ranked very similarly between Bounty and Knockout, but I think that Sirius is going to be significantly better in Knockout. If he can survive long enough for the smoke to roll in, having to deal with his shadows when everyone is closing in on each other is going to be extremely difficult for the enemy team if they don't have some sort of a way to pierce through and deal with them all. He doesn't have the best survivability, and that's going to be his struggle, but I think that it's good enough, and except for on maps where there are just incredibly few walls, I think the S tier is absolutely justified. At least just barely. Like, he's barely S tier in Knockout, depending on maps, right? A little bit. Usually brawlers aren't S tier if they depend on maps, but most of the map pool is going to be just fine for him. Let's talk about Solo Showdown. Sirius is not going to have the best start in Solo Showdown because of his slow reload speed, but His burst damage honestly isn't even that bad, even without his super available. The biggest thing I don't like is the same thing for Gem Grab, right? He doesn't have a good way to deal with assassins, at least not without his super. And even then, most assassins, once they jump on to Sirius, they're able to deal damage against multiple targets at once. So like, you know, most assassins aren't even going to struggle against him. But I think that he's just good, really strong overall. So we're going to go with the A tier because you can win with pretty much any brawler in solo showdown. Duo and trio showdown is another story though. We're going with the S tier here. I actually think that his shadows are going to be easier to deal with for enemies in these modes, but the overall benefit of having a teammate really outweighs his downsides. As long as he has good protection from those close range brawlers, he really doesn't have any weaknesses. So I think the S tier for duo and trio showdown is justified.
Dude, he's gonna be a fucking demon, bro. Especially in duo and solo. I really like duo and solo. I really like solo. Holy schmolies. Solo showdown. Solo showdown. Solo showdown. Yeah. I like it a lot. He's gonna be very, very busted. He's gonna be very, very strong. They're gonna have to nerf the hell out of him when he's like actually released. He's gonna get nerfed. But until then, you know, have your fun. But yeah,
let's talk about Brawler. Sirius doesn't quite have S tier AoE damage, but he's still better than average at clearing the waves. And unlike Heist, I actually think that he is going to be able to use enemy shadows to deal some crazy damage to the turrets. As he levels up, his shadows also become more powerful, so I think that his overall power scales faster than most other brawlers. Something very important to keep in mind here with Brawl Arena, though, is that again, he does not charge shadows by attacking the bots. You have to attack enemy brawlers. What's cool about Brawl Arena, though, is that he can literally just throw his shadows back on his turret, keep them all safe until he has 6 shadows, and then once he has 6 shadows, you can just like let the flood come out and the shadows will go and just really overwhelm people. You can also use shadows to stay in bushes so that you know if enemy brawlers are actually trying to rush you out of the bushes and stuff like that. You can use his shadows really strategically in Brawl Arena, and there's just a lot going for him. And so I think the A tier is very justified. There's even a little bit of the reason why he's not S tier is the fact that it does take a lot to build up a good army of shadows for him to become really strong. And even after he does, they can all be taken out by some brawlers that deal really good splash damage, and enemies in Brawl Arena are very likely to have some splash damage. So very interesting. Honestly, I think Sirius is super cool. I don't know if Supercell could have come up with a cooler idea for a 100th brawler. It's like he's like the perfect brawler for the 100th brawler. They just did such a stellar job with him. And that's at least what I think. I want to know what you guys think. Okay, so we have 2 things to show you. First of all, how you can unlock Sirius for free, and then we'll go over all of his voice lines and pins. Okay, so first way you're gonna be able to unlock Sirius for free is obviously through a Sirius challenge that we're going to have. Okay, now there's a couple of conflicting information right here. Right here it says that you are guaranteed 18. I was also given information that it was actually 20 boxes opened to get Sirius for free. So it's either 18 or 20, and each Sirius box is going to cost 2 wins to actually get unlocked. We're gonna have a total of 40 tickets. So that comes down to, you know, 40 tickets means you have to have like really excellent win rates, right? Very high. Yeah, so this is actually something that's actually really interesting about these Sirius boxes is that you can get a lot more from them than you can from other ones. You can get shit. You can get gadgets, you can get star powers, you can get hypercharge, you can get coins, credits, XP doublers, power point. I said power points. 7 or 8 items total in each one of these boxes, which is really awesome. 6, 7. For you to unlock a free Sirius box. Oh, what's this? A gadget. Okay, and that free Sirius box is actually going to be in a special challenge, which we'll talk about. But yeah, there's also a chance for you to unlock Sirius for free in one of these boxes as well. It's pretty slim. I don't know the exact odds, but don't count on that happening. But there's also going to be a special event where you can unlock Sirius for free if you have the 99 other brawlers in the game unlocked. So if you have 99 brawlers, then what you have to do to get Sirius for free is pretty simple. You have to get 1 win with all of the brawlers, and if you do that, you are guaranteed to get Sirius for free, regardless of what happens with the boxes. If you don't have every brawler unlocked, then getting a win with 50 of the brawlers will give you at least 1 Sirius box, so that's going to make it a little bit more easy for you to actually complete this challenge. I recognize that this is not easy, right? And I recognize that this may seem a little unfair to people who don't have all of the brawlers unlocked. I actually think
too bad.
it's okay. I think it's
Too
totally
bad.
fine for the developers to do something very specific to reward their most hardcore players who have been playing for long enough and actively enough to be able to have every brawler unlocked. I think that's really cool. Check out all these voice lines and pins and make sure you subscribe for the Nausea Olympics.
Now starting your worst nightmare.
W video, W Kairos. But yeah, Sirius looks very, very strong. He's gonna be very, very good, it seems. And yeah, I'm excited to play him. I'm excited for when he comes out for the 100th brawler in the game.
I prefer the shadow you.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. He's gonna be very, very fun. He's gonna be very busted. He's gonna be very overpowered. And they're probably gonna have to nerf him to the ground. They're definitely gonna have to either decrease how many like shadows he's able to actually spawn. Like I feel like that's probably how they're gonna end up nerfing him, or just nerfing the stats of the shadows themselves, or just nerfing how fast he is able to get the shadows. Like they could go. They have a bunch of different options of how they could nerf him. But yeah, I'm excited. Super excited. See you guys on the flip side though.